Hey guys, Tom Taylor from Rock News Desk coming at you. With the passing of original Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley, I felt the need to dive into some of the Ace-related Kiss-tory. I've been a lifelong Kiss fan, and there are so many cool stories from those guys. I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the stuff that sometimes falls through the cracks. So I wanted to tell you the story of Ace's smoking guitar, and specifically, how it came to be one of the most memorable parts of the live Kiss show. Early on, even in the days of the first tour, Ace envisioned this idea of a guitar that would smoke during his solo. Ace said that while touring in Canada, he visited a magic shop and spent a couple of bucks on some smoke bombs. His idea was pretty primitive. The only way he could see it working was to open up the back cover of his 1973 Tobacco Burst Les Paul Deluxe, the one he bought with the advance money Kiss received when they got signed to Casablanca, and place a smoke bomb inside. With nowhere else to go, the smoke would pour out from around the pickups, giving the effect of his guitar being on fire. So that's exactly what he did. During his solo, Ace would light the fuse, which was hanging out the back of his guitar, with a cigarette lighter and start the effect. But let me back up a little. Dates for all of this information are going to be kind of hit and miss, and require a bit of investigation. I don't want to bog you down with too many dates, but maybe you can help me figure out what is most likely to have happened. If Ace remembered correctly, and bought the smoke bombs while on tour in Canada, then the possible dates for the first smoke bomb purchase are scattered over February 1974 to early January 1975. There are multiple dates in there when Kiss was in Canada. Now, the date he began incorporating this effect into the show is also a bit sketchy. We know it was in 1975, but 1975 footage of the smoking guitar isn't easy to find. He does not use it in the January 75 Winterland show. He doesn't use it in the April 1975 Midnight Special TV taping. There is a brief 8mm crowd shot clip supposedly shot at Passaic, New Jersey on October 4th, 1975. This may be the earliest known footage of the smoking guitar. That would put it less than a month into the Alive tour. There's also footage of the final night of the Alive tour, March 28th, 1976, showing the smoking guitar with the smoke coming from around the sides of the neck pickup. I don't know of any reports of him using the smoking guitar on the Dress to Kill tour, so maybe we can assume the effect first appeared when the band resumed touring in September in support of the Alive record. Ace used his Tobacco Burst guitar with the smoke bomb in the back throughout the Alive tour, which ran from September 1975 through March 1976. The biggest problem, Ace said, with using this effect was the damage caused by the smoke bombs themselves. The heat and the chemical smoke would gum up the electronics in his guitar. They were constantly having to clean the pots and replace damaged wires, so they needed to come up with a different way to pull off the effect each night. This is the point when most people familiar with this story believe an engineer stepped in to help Ace take his guitar effect to the next level, and that may be the case. Many people think they know the name of that particular engineer, John Elder Robison, but I'm having a hard time making the facts and the traditional story line up. So I think someone else helped Ace before Robison came into the picture. Either that, or Ace stepped up his engineering game and just took things to the next level by himself. The reason I think John Elder Robison was not involved yet is because of the timeline Robison has talked about, and the upgrades he has described making to Ace's system. And I'll get into that in a minute. Destroyer was released March 15th, 1976, but the official tour didn't begin until April 11th, 1976. By the time the Destroyer tour begins, the guitar had gone through a significant upgrade. Instead of the smoke pouring out from around the edges of the pickups, Ace would actually use his pick to punch the faceplate out of a fake neck pickup, causing it to retract like a trapdoor, and allowing the smoke to pour out of the cavity inside the guitar. This allowed more smoke to appear and at a faster pace. Releasing the pickup trapdoor also turned on a very bright halogen light. In addition to this, Ace was no longer using the cigarette lighter to light the fuse hanging out the back of the guitar. Instead, an XLR cable was run from his guitar to the soundboard, likely to the monitor crew at the side of the stage, and they would send a signal through the XLR to the guitar in order to ignite the smoke bombs. So this is Ace's smoking guitar 2.0. On the Rock and Roll Over tour, There was now a switch on the side of the guitar, close to the cable jack, that turned on the halogen light in the neck pickup. Ace would turn on that light and then punch out the pickup. The XLR cable was no longer being used on this tour. Instead, D-cell batteries were placed in the back of the guitar and were being used to ignite the smoke bombs. Sometime after this is when I believe John Robison got involved. Now, Robison is a really interesting guy. Growing up, he always felt out of place, almost like a screw-up. He knew he wasn't like other kids his age, but he didn't really understand why. His father was the head of the philosophy department at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and his mother was a poet. John was anything but an academic. He was bullied and teased by other kids. He spent a lot of time alone, away from what could be considered friends. What John didn't know is he was on the autism spectrum. He had Asperger's, a high-functioning version of autism. He wasn't diagnosed with that until he was 40 years old and had an autistic child of his own. As a teenager, he only knew he wasn't quite like other kids. And like many people on the spectrum, he showed heightened abilities in certain areas, but lacked social skills. He had an interest in electronics. He liked to see how things worked and would often take things apart. TVs, radios, stuff like that. Because of his academic and social issues, he dropped out of high school at just 15 years old and really didn't have any ambitions. By this time, his parents weren't expecting much from him. With no high school classes to attend, he began spending time at the university where his father taught. Robison said he learned engineering in the basement of Marcus Hall at UMass Amherst. He basically taught himself electrical engineering. At 16, he joined a band as their sound engineer. While taking apart electronics during the day and handling sound for a local band at night, he was receiving a real practical street education. He turned his electronics and sound engineering knowledge into a career. He once said he didn't feel like a misfit when he was around bands and musicians because so many of the band members were misfits as well. People didn't judge him in rock and roll. They were all a bit odd. John continued working for bands and began working his way up to bigger bands. By the time he was 20 years old, he was working for the band April Wine. In the late 70s, he got a gig working for Britannia Row, the company started by Pink Floyd to lease out their sound gear when they weren't touring. This is what led to his first meeting with Ace. I don't have exact dates here, but Britannia Row was contracted to put together a monitor system for Kiss for their upcoming tour. Robison said it was late 70s. He also said he was on tour with Kiss from 1978 to 1982. Based on that and a couple of other things, I'm going to guess the meeting at Britannia Row was around the time of the end of the Love Gun tour in 1977. In the Love Gun tour footage I've seen, Ace has moved to another Les Paul, this time with triple humbuckers. By this tour, his guitars are wireless, thanks to nearly being electrocuted on stage during the Rock and Roll Over tour. It looks like he is starting the smoke and the light behind the fake neck pickup with a switch near the input jack, and he is still punching out the pickup trapdoor. You can see here where he has trouble getting the pickup door to drop. This footage says it is from September 1977 on the Love Gun tour. So let's assume Ace's first meeting with John Elder Robison was between September 1977 when the Love Gun tour ended and November 1977 when the Alive 2 tour began. According to Robison, Kiss was in Britannia Row Studios in New York and Ace was digging at the front of his guitar with a chisel. John asked what he was doing, and Ace said he wanted to make his guitar blow fire. John told him he could make that happen. Ace turned to his guitar tech and said, "Tex, have Gibson send this guy a guitar." John said he got the guitar, and with the help of a friend and a woman who later became his first wife, hollowed out the back of the guitar and put in a stainless steel box. They lined the outside of the box with asbestos so it wouldn't burn the guitar. They removed the neck pickup and placed a fake pickup trapdoor that would be triggered by the volume knob on the guitar. At the same time, 2 smoke bombs would be ignited for the smoke effect, and a bright halogen light behind the fake pickup would turn on. This seems to be the guitar we see in December 1977 when Kiss performs in Largo on the Alive 2 tour. And this seems to be the smoking guitar system Ace continued using throughout the rest of his time in Kiss. He had other guitars that smoked, like his Black Beauty 3 humbucker model used on the Dynasty tour, but the system seems to be the same or very similar. One quick side note, Robeson took over as the guy who handled all of Ace's special effects guitars at this point. He was responsible for the smoking guitars, as well as the ones that shot rockets, and the light-up guitar he used on stage for I Was Made for Loving You and New York Groove. By 1996, when Ace returned to Kiss, rechargeable batteries were being used in the guitars instead of the standard D batteries. One other note about the smoking guitar system, and it may have been added later or even in the first Robeson model, but the volume knob would have different positions besides just on or off, and 2 knobs were used to activate the system. Since Ace was only using the bridge pickup when playing the guitar, that left 2 other knobs that could be used to operate his effect. In some footage, you can see Ace turn the knob to start the neck pickup trapdoor, halogen light, and smoke, and you can see him turn the knob again to set off an additional smoke bomb. A few years back, Ace decided to sell one of his smoking guitars to a fan. That fan posted really cool pictures online that show details of the guitar, but also Ace's handwritten instructions on how to operate the 1996 model of that smoking guitar. You can see here where he explains the different positions of the 2 knobs used to control the effects. Knobs 1 and 2 were used to control the volume and tone of the bridge pickup. Knobs 3 and 4 were used for the effects. 1 turn of knob 3 would open the neck pickup trapdoor. 1 turn of knob 4 would do nothing, like a safety switch. The next turn would ignite the first smoke bomb. Turn 3 would switch on the halogen lamp. And the next turn would ignite the next smoke bomb. I hope you guys enjoyed my investigative reporting video all about Ace's smoking guitars. Like any other video I put out on this channel, I do my best to get the facts correct to pass along, but that may not always happen. So trust, but verify. Please say hello in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. You guys take care.